Marcus pushed through the glass doors of the Meridian Tower, the fanciest building in all of Manhattan. His old sneakers squeaked on floors so shiny he could see his reflection. The blue polo shirt with "Quick Drop Delivery" printed on it hung loose on his thin body. He clutched an envelope marked "Urgent" in his sweaty hands. "Delivery entrance is around back," a security guard barked without looking up from his phone. "But sir, I was told to bring this straight to the 47th floor. It says urgent. Do I look like I care?" The guard finally glanced at Marcus, his eyes cold. "Back in trance. Now." Marcus's stomach twisted, but he nodded. He'd learned long ago that arguing only made things worse. As he turned to leave, a woman in an expensive suit nearly walked right through him, talking loudly on her phone. She didn't even say sorry. "Some people just don't belong in professional spaces," she muttered to whoever was on the phone. Marcus felt his face burn with shame. As he walked toward the back entrance, he heard the woman's voice rise with panic. "If those documents don't reach the Chinese delegation in 20 minutes, we lose a $340 million deal." Marcus looked down at the envelope in his hands. His heart began to pound. The back elevator smelled like cleaning chemicals and moved so slowly Marcus wanted to scream. He checked his phone. 2:47. The delivery had to be done by 3 o'clock. He'd barely make it. When the elevator doors opened on the 47th floor, Marcus stepped into chaos. Papers were scattered everywhere. Voices shouted from behind glass walls. At least 12 people in fancy suits were yelling and waving their hands. Marcus walked carefully toward the noise. "Excuse me, I have." "Not now." An old man with a red face spun around, veins bulging in his neck. "Can't you see we're in a crisis?" "Security. Why is there a delivery boy up here?" "Sir, I have documents for," Marcus tried to explain. "We don't have time for deliveries." A woman with glasses and pearls cut him off. "Our translator just collapsed. The ambulance took her 15 minutes ago. The Chinese delegation arrives in 4 minutes, and nobody here speaks Chinese." Marcus stood frozen, still holding the envelope everyone needed but nobody would take from him. Then the main elevator opened. 5 people in elegant business clothes stepped out, speaking rapidly in a language Marcus recognized immediately. Mandarin Chinese. The red-faced man whispered to his colleague, "We're finished." The Chinese woman in charge, about 50 years old with silver streaks in her hair, spoke to her team in Mandarin. Marcus understood every single word. They looked disorganized. "Mr. Chen warned us Americans can be unprofessional. Should we leave? I don't trust this situation." The red-faced man, his desk plate said Richard Ashford, Senior VP, smiled desperately and stuck out his hand. "Welcome. We're so happy you're here." The Chinese leader looked confused. She turned to her colleagues and said in Mandarin, "He's sweating like a liar. I don't trust him." Marcus's hand shook. Everything inside him screamed, "Stay quiet, stay invisible, and stay safe." But his grandmother's voice echoed in his head. She always said, "Silence when you can speak is just fear, Marcus." He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Huanying Guanglin," Marcus said quietly. "Welcome." The entire room went silent. Every single person turned to stare at the nervous delivery boy in the cheap polo shirt. The Chinese leader's eyes went wide. Richard Ashford's face turned from red to completely white. Marcus continued in perfect Mandarin. "I apologize for the confusion. There was a medical emergency, but I'm here to help with this meeting. Your concerns are valid, but I promise this partnership matters to everyone here." Richard grabbed Marcus's arm hard enough to hurt. "What do you think you're doing?" he hissed. But the Chinese leader, who said her name was Ms. Liu, raised her hand. "Let him speak," she said in English. Her accent was crisp and clear. She switched back to Mandarin, staring directly at Marcus. "The documents we sent last week had 3 deliberate errors. This was a test. Can you tell me what they were?" Marcus's heart nearly stopped. He'd never seen those documents. This was a test he couldn't possibly pass. Then he looked down at the envelope in his hands. "May I?" he asked, holding it up. Ms. Lu nodded. Marcus's fingers trembled as he tore open the envelope and pulled out the contract. His grandmother had taught him to read Chinese legal documents when he was just 12 years old, making him practice for hours at the back table of her restaurant. His eyes flew across the pages. Page 7. There was a clause about property rights that was inverted. Page 11. The money split differed from what they had previously agreed upon. Page 14, the most hidden one. 3 errors, Marcus said in Mandarin. His voice stronger now. On page 7, the property protection is reversed. On page 11, the money split changed from 50-50 to 70-30. Page 14, the most sneaky. The location for settling disputes changed from Singapore to Beijing. Ms. Lu's face showed nothing. She turned to her colleagues and spoke in rapid Mandarin. Either this boy is a corporate spy, or something miraculous just happened. She stepped closer to Marcus. The whole room seemed to stop breathing. Richard looked like he might faint. "Language is one thing," Ms. Lu said in Mandarin. "Any American can take classes. But tell me, delivery boy, what does it mean when I say, there's no free lunch in the world?" Marcus knew she wasn't asking for a translation. This was another test. She sought to ascertain whether he grasped the essence of the words. "It means you're wondering what I want in return for helping," Marcus replied carefully in Mandarin. "You're suspicious of kindness without a price, because in business, everything costs something. But it also means you understand that real value needs real work, which is why you put those errors in the documents. You wanted to make sure your American partners would work hard to truly know you, not just take your money." Ms. Lu's face stayed calm, but something changed in her eyes. Marcus continued. "My grandmother used to say the same thing when customers complained about her prices at her restaurant in Chinatown. She'd tell them, 'Good things aren't cheap, and cheap things aren't good.'" For the first time, Ms. Lu smiled. "Your grandmother was from Sichuan." "From Chengdu. She came to America in 1989. Ms. Lu suddenly switched to a special dialect, Sichuanese, and asked Marcus a question that made his eyes fill with tears. Richard panicked. "What did she say? What did she say?" "She asked," Marcus said quietly in English, blinking hard, "if my grandmother made a traditional Sichuan dish. It was her specialty." "Was?" Ms. Lu asked gently in English now. "She died 3 months ago." Marcus's voice cracked. "The restaurant closed. I've been doing deliveries to pay her medical bills." The room changed. These rich businesspeople, who wouldn't have noticed if Marcus vanished suddenly, looked at him like he was actually human. Richard's brain was clearly working fast. "Ms. Lu, we can have this young man help with the meeting. Temporarily, until we get a real translator." "Real?" Ms. Lu's eyes turned cold. "This young man has shown more understanding in 5 minutes than your company has in 6 months." She looked at Marcus. "What's your name?" "Marcus. Marcus Chen." "Marcus Chen, will you translate for us? I'll pay you $500 per hour. Minimum 3 hours." Marcus couldn't breathe. That was more than he made in 2 weeks. "I'm not certified. I'm not professional." "You're honest," Ms. Lu interrupted. "That's worth more than certificates. Will you help?" For 2 hours, Marcus sat between both sides, translating a negotiation worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He converted not just words but meaning, feelings, and culture. His mind worked faster than it ever had. "They want manufacturing costs reduced by 15%, Marcus explained to Richard's team. "But what they really mean is that they need proof that quality won't suffer." Ms. Lu's colleague just mentioned a German company that failed because they rushed. Richard nodded, looking annoyed. "Tell them quality is our foundation." During a break, Ms. Lu brought Marcus tea. "You translate like someone who's lost something precious," she said quietly in Mandarin. "Every time you talk about quality and trust, I hear sadness." Marcus's hands shook around the cup. "My grandmother spent 40 years building trust, one customer at a time. She never cut corners. Never lied. She never made promises she couldn't fulfill. His voice became barely audible. I watched her die because she couldn't afford the medicine that might have saved her. Despite her trust and honesty, the system continued to fail her. Ms. Liu set down her tea, her face serious. Marcus, there's something you should know about why I insisted this meeting happen today, despite everything. It has to do with your grandmother's restaurant. 15 years ago, Ms. Liu began softly, I came to New York for the first time. I was young, barely surviving. I was homesick and exhausted. My boss told me my English wasn't good enough, that I'd never succeed in America. Marcus's heart started racing. I walked into a small Sichuan restaurant in Chinatown. Had $8. The owner, an older woman with kind eyes, saw me crying at a corner table. Ms. Liu's eyes got wet. She brought me a feast. When I tried to pay, she refused. She said, "Today I treat you. Tomorrow you help someone else." Marcus couldn't move. I came back every week for a year. She never charged me full price. She helped me practice English. She told me I would succeed. She was right. I returned to China, ascended the corporate hierarchy, and dedicated 15 years to locating that restaurant once more, a gesture of gratitude to her. Ms. Liu pulled out an old, faded business card. Chen's Sichuan Garden. This was the same business card that Marcus had kept in his wallet. Last night, I learned the restaurant closed 3 months ago. The owner passed away. She looked straight at Marcus. Your grandmother gave me hope when I had nothing. Today, the universe brought me her grandson. Marcus broke down crying. The whole conference room watched the strong delivery boy crumble. Richard saw weakness and moved. We should stop. Marcus is too emotional. Marcus's voice pierced the room sharply. He wiped his eyes, stood up, and faced everyone. I'm finishing this translation, he said in English, then Mandarin. I'm finishing this translation because my grandmother taught me that promises matter. When someone trusts you, you don't quit because it hurts. He turned to Richard. You want to know why I'm crying? Ms. Liu just told me that my grandmother, the woman you wouldn't let through the front door, changed her life. While you dismissed me as just a delivery boy, the woman you're trying to impress was shaped by someone you'd consider nobody. The room was dead silent. My grandmother said, "You can't judge a person by their appearance." Marcus looked around. Every person in this building today looked through me. Guards, assistants, executives. I was invisible until I became useful. Ms. Liu stood up. Marcus is right. This is exactly why this partnership worries me. She faced Richard directly. How you treat invisible people tells me how you'll treat us after the contract is signed. It tells me about your character. Richard's face turned red with rage. He slammed the table. I will not be lectured by a delivery boy. You're fired. Security. If he goes, we go. Ms. Liu's quiet voice carried the weight of $340 million. Richard froze. Excuse me. You heard me, Mr. Ashford. Ms. Liu calmly gathered her papers. If Marcus Chen leaves, Hangzhou Tech withdraws. Forever. You can't be serious. Over a delivery boy. Over integrity, Ms. Liu corrected. It is about how you treat people when you think nobody important is watching. A younger woman on Richard's team named Jennifer spoke up. Richard, maybe we should. Stay out of this, Jennifer. But Jennifer didn't stop. Ms. Liu is right. Marcus found errors in 15 minutes that our lawyers missed in 3 weeks. He connected cultures none of us could touch. He did this while grieving and working for minimum wage. She stared at Richard. If we fire him for being better than us, what does that say? Other voices joined. An analyst. A junior partner. People who'd walked past Marcus in the lobby were suddenly finding courage. Richard realized he was losing control. In desperation, he played his last card. Fine. Keep him. But I'm calling Quick Drop Delivery right now. Their employee violated his contract by working another job. He'll be fired and lose his only income. He smirked at Marcus. Still feel like a hero? Marcus felt panic squeeze his chest, the terror of being one paycheck from homelessness. Before Marcus could speak, Ms. Lu's phone rang. She answered in Mandarin, her face unreadable. After a brief talk, she hung up and smiled at Richard. But her eyes were ice. That was our CEO. I updated him during the break. She set her phone down carefully. Hangzhou Tech offers Marcus Chen a job as our North American cultural liaison. Salary: $85,000 yearly, with benefits and professional certification sponsorship. Marcus's world spun. Also, Ms. Lu continued, we'll pay the rest of his grandmother's medical debt as a signing bonus. To honor her kindness 15 years ago. Richard's face turned purple. You can't steal him. He's not even our employee. Exactly, Ms. Lu said smoothly. He works for Quick Drop Delivery. So your threat means nothing. He turned to Marcus. What do you say? $85,000. No more debt. A real career. This was everything his grandmother had wished for him. But doubt crept in. I'm not qualified. No degree. Never worked corporate. You translated a $340 million deal with no preparation, Jennifer interrupted. You caught what 3 lawyers missed. You understand culture in ways that cost companies millions. That's not luck. That's skill. Marcus stared at the delivery uniform he still wore, then at Ms. Lu's hand. Just as he reached to shake it, Richard spoke with pure cruelty. Before you decide, your grandmother's restaurant didn't close because of medical bills. I own that building. I tripled her rent. Ask yourself, do I want to work with the people who destroyed what she built? Marcus felt the impact of those words deeply. You what? I bought the building at 147 Mott Street in 2019. I bought it in 2019. Property values rose. Your grandmother paid $3,000 a month for space worth $10,000. Richard shrugged. Business is business. She had a lease, which expired. I offered renewal at the new rate. She couldn't afford it. Richard's voice was ice. That's not cruel. That's capitalism. Marcus felt rage burning through him. But underneath something else, clarity. You're right, Marcus said quietly. You're not responsible for her failing to adapt. You're responsible for choosing profit over people. He saw a 70-year-old woman who had fed her community for 40 years as nothing more than a rent payment. He turned to everyone. My grandmother could have been bitter. She could have placed the blame on America, the system, and individuals such as Mr. Ashford. But you know what she did. She kept cooking. Kept helping people like Ms. Lu. I kept believing kindness mattered more than money. Marcus's voice grew. She died broke and tired. But she died with integrity. Can you say the same, Mr. Ashford? The silence was crushing. Marcus faced Ms. Lu. I accept your offer. But I have one condition. Ms. Lu raised an eyebrow. Name it. Part of my job should be creating a scholarship for immigrant workers learning English and job skills. Named after my grandmother. The profits from this merger will fund this scholarship. Ms. Lu didn't even pause. Agreed. The Chen Legacy Scholarship Fund will receive 1% of yearly profits. Richard started protesting, but Jennifer cut him off. It's beneficial publicity. And it's right. She looked at her boss with disgust. For once, let's do the right thing. The Chinese team huddled and spoke in Mandarin. Marcus heard every word. This is unprecedented. It's brilliant marketing. The boy negotiates better than most executives. Ms. Lu extended her hand. Welcome to Hangzhou Tech. You start Monday. Marcus shook it, feeling his grandmother's dreams in that grip. He looked down at his quick drop uniform, the same outfit he wore when he was invisible. Now it felt like armor. Thank you, he said in both languages. I won't disappoint you. As the delegation left, Richard stood alone. His colleagues avoided his eyes. The merger would happen without him. Jennifer was already being discussed as his replacement. Marcus walked past Richard, who grabbed his arm. "You think you've won?" Richard hissed. "You'll fail. People like you always do. One mistake and they'll throw you out." Marcus looked at the hand on his arm, then at Richard's face. "Maybe. But at least I'll fail as myself, not pretending to be better than people who serve me." He pulled free and walked to the front entrance, not the back. The security guard who'd dismissed him earlier did a double take. Marcus paused. "Yeah, it's me. I'll be using this door daily now. Maybe learn my name." 3 weeks later, Marcus sat in his new office on the 47th floor with a window view of Manhattan. The scholarship fund had been announced. Applications flooded in from delivery drivers, janitors, cooks, and security guards. Invisible people suddenly believing they could be more. Jennifer, now acting VP, knocked on his door. "You have a visitor." The security guard from his first day stood there, hat in hands, looking uncomfortable. "Mr. Chen, I wanted to apologize. I wanted to apologize for the way I treated you. I wanted to apologize for the way I treat people." He swallowed hard. "I've worked here 12 years. Seen thousands of delivery people, cleaners and contractors. Never learned one name. I simply moved them along as if they were furniture." Marcus waved him in. "What's your name?" "Carlos. Carlos Mendoza." "Why are you really here, Carlos?" Carlos pulled out a worn notebook. "My daughter. She's 17. Brilliant. She aspires to become a translator, but her family cannot afford to send her to college. I saw your scholarship announcement and..." His voice broke. "I thought maybe she'd have a chance." Marcus felt his grandmother's presence strong as sunlight. "Tell her to apply. And Carlos, thank you for seeing me." After Carlos left, Marcus stared at the city, millions of invisible people keeping it running. He called Ms. Liu. "I want to expand the scholarship. Create mentorship programs. Partner with delivery companies, cleaning services, and restaurants. People like me need systems, not just luck." "You'll make powerful people uncomfortable," Ms. Liu warned. "People like Richard. They'll fight back. Ready for that." 6 months later, Marcus stood at a podium in the Meridian Tower's main hall. 200 people filled the seats. Scholarship recipients, families, sponsors, and press. The first Chen Legacy scholars sat up front. Delivery drivers, janitors, cooks, and health aides. Invisible people. Marcus's hand shook. He set aside his notes. "My grandmother said, everyone has value, but not everyone is seen." He paused. 6 months ago, I walked in here wearing this uniform. People regarded me with disdain. I was nobody, until I became useful. He saw Carlos in the crowd. His daughter wearing her acceptance letter like a medal. "But I was always somebody. My grandmother was always somebody. We've been here all along, delivering packages, cleaning offices, serving food, caring for children. The only thing that changed wasn't me. It was visibility. One person, Ms. Liu, chose to see value where others saw nothing." Marcus pulled out his old delivery shirt. "I'll never forget what it felt like to wear this and be invisible. I'll spend my career making sure when people see someone in a uniform like this, they see a person. They see potential. Someone's grandmother. Someone's future." The hall exploded in applause. In the back, Richard sat alone, watching the delivery boy who destroyed his career become the face of change. Marcus raised his hand. "My grandmother's last words. Do good, be good, and good will return. She was right. To everyone who feels invisible, you're not. You're waiting for your moment. And when it comes, don't just take it. Use it to lift others." "Thank you. Grandmother, wherever you are, they see me now. They see us all."